Hey everyone, and welcome. If you're starting to think about senior housing, well, you already know it's a whole lot more than just finding an apartment. It's really about finding the right home for that next chapter. So today, using some great insights from DailyCaring.com, we're going to cut through all the noise and give you a clear, simple guide to affordable senior living.
And isn't that the truth? As we get older or as we watch our loved ones age, the whole concept of home just shifts. The focus moves to things like safety, convenience, and maybe the biggest one of all, community. It's a huge change, and finding a place that actually supports this new chapter is, well, it's everything.
So here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with the why behind this big change. Then we'll clear up some key differences in housing types, break down how the costs work, look at the programs that can help, and then, the best part, we'll finish up with a practical guide so you can actually start your search.
Okay, let's dive right into Section 1. At their heart, senior living apartments are really designed for older adults who want to hang on to their independence, but in a space that's actually built for their needs.
It's so easy to look at a list like this and just see a bunch of amenities, right? But they are so much more than that. Elevators and grab bars, they aren't just for convenience. They're tools that help people stay independent. And by building a community of peers, these apartments directly fight back against the loneliness and isolation that can be a real health risk for seniors.
All right, next up, let's tackle something that causes a lot of confusion. You hear the terms senior apartments and retirement communities thrown around all the time, sometimes like they're the same thing, but they actually represent two totally different ways of approaching senior living. And you can see the difference laid out perfectly right here. On the left, you've got senior apartments, which are a housing-first option. It's all about providing a safe, independent space. But on the right, retirement communities. They're selling a whole lifestyle package. They're often all-inclusive. We're talking meals, events, even medical staff on site. It's much more of a resort-like feel.
Okay, so now we know the different types of places, but how are they priced? This is where we get into the really critical financial side of things, and it usually falls into one of two main buckets.
It's a simple difference, but it is absolutely vital. Market rate apartments are priced just like any other rental out there. It's all about what the local market can bear. But income-based apartments are designed from day one to be affordable. The rent isn't based on the market at all. It's tied directly to what a resident can actually afford to pay, and that's all thanks to subsidies.
And this number right here, this is the key, 30%. In subsidized housing, the rent is capped at 30% of a resident's adjusted gross income. So think about it. If their income is, say, $1,000 a month, their rent can't be more than $300. That's the secret sauce that makes it truly affordable and sustainable for someone on a fixed income.
So, who's behind these subsidies? Well, that brings us to the main player in this whole story, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or as you probably heard it called, HUD. They run the key programs that make affordable senior housing a reality for millions of people.
And HUD basically has two main ways it helps out, and it's really important to get how each one works.
Let's break this down. Think of Section 8 kind of like a portable coupon. It gives seniors a voucher that helps them pay for housing they find on their own in the private market. Section 202, on the other hand, is tied to the building itself. It provides subsidies for people living in specific communities that were built just for low-income seniors.
Now, beyond those two big HUD programs, there are a couple of other things worth knowing about. Seniors who get Social Security might also qualify for something called Supplemental Security Income, or SSI. And there are also properties that were built using the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit, and they have their own set of income-based rules.
Okay, so we've covered the concepts, the lingo, and the programs. Now for the most important part. How do you actually start looking? Let's get practical.
So where do you begin? Your single most important starting point is your local public housing authority, or PHA. They're the ones who manage the government programs. And on top of that, there are some fantastic nonprofits like the Good Samaritan Society, Mercy Housing, and Human Good that run affordable senior communities all over the country. So let's boil this all down into a super simple three-step action plan. First, get in touch with your local PHA. You can find them just by dialing 211 or by visiting the HUD website. Second, check out the websites for those national nonprofits we just mentioned. They usually have really easy-to-use locators. And third, once you've got a list, just start making calls. Ask the specific questions that matter to you, like what's their pet policy or what amenities are included. And that's really it. In just a few minutes, we've gone from those big, overwhelming questions about what home even means to having the specific terms, the right programs, and a clear checklist to start this journey.
You are absolutely equipped to navigate this search with confidence now.
So, we'll leave you with this last very personal question. With all this info in your back pocket, you can start to really picture the answer. What does safety, convenience, and community look like for you, or for your loved one, in this next chapter?